Hello everybody, Camelia here. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to a new sewing pattern review. Today I have for you two new patterns from Knip Mode magazine from September issue 2023. And I will also show you another Knip Mode, not a pattern, a pair of pants made with a Knip Mode magazine pattern, because I use them in my to make the pictures for the top that I'm going to talk about today. And I was thinking I never talked about these pants and about the pattern, which is a really great one. And you know, because I'm sewing so much, I have a lot of clothes, and of course not all of them are getting a lot of wear. I'm going to be honest with you. And these ones are a pair of pants that they were forgotten in the closet, so I'm really happy that I discovered them. I made them 3 years ago, but it's a really nice pattern, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it at the end of the video. But this video is mainly about the two patterns from the September issue from Knip Mode, and so I'm going to talk about skirt number, let's see, the pattern 7C, and also I'm going to talk about top. Going to put pictures and stuff here on my side about top number 16 in the magazine. But I'm going to start with the skirt just because I have the skirt here first, and then I'm going to talk about the top. So the skirt is this one. It's a midi skirt, and again I am going to put some pictures here to the side just because I'm not wearing it, because of course you're not going to be able to see me. But I also want to show you some changes that I made, and I want to show you the details, you know, while I'm talking. So the midi skirt is the same, is using the lower part of the dress that is, let's see, that is in the beginning of the magazine. This one here, with the diagonal lines and cuts. You can see it here sleeveless, and here with the sleeves. So my skirt is using actually the lower part of this dress. I got the PDF pattern from Knip Mode, and there on that pattern there is also the bodice for the skirt, and also of course the skirt itself. In the magazine they have or in the instructions, the instructions for the skirt are not in the magazine, but they are as a one PDF page downloadable from their website. And I don't know why, because it's only one page. So this is my skirt piece. I just copied from the PDF, and in the instructions, this line here is the line where on the pattern sheet you have that you need to cut it for your skirt. And then let's see, I'm going to fold this back, and then they have you make your own waistband for the skirt. That's why in the technical drawing there is also a seam line here. Well, I decided, and I'm going to show you the fabric that I wanted to use, and of course in the pictures you're already seeing the one that I used. The pattern is made for stretch fabrics, and they used also for the dress, they used something like stable knit, kind of thicker jersey. Of course it will work great also in ponte knits and stuff like that, and jacquard jerseys and whatever, with a little bit of drape. And the skirt itself is made in the magazine in a stretch crepe. It has a zipper in the center back, and this is, let me see, this is the center back piece, which is cut of course with a seam in the back to accommodate the zipper, the invisible zipper, and it has also a bit of shaping here at the back. My original idea was for the skirt, because I used to have a midi skirt like this many years ago. It was a kind of wool with also something striped or something like that with I don't know anymore. There were no flowers, but I really love that dress. And I had this piece of I think it's a polyester wool blend, which it has a little bit of stretch because the pattern requires a little bit of stretch. Although being made in, of course you can make it also in a stable knit, as I said, as they use for the dress, and of course the same fabric you could use also for the skirt. So first I had this one in mind, but then of course I changed my mind and I decided to use some, because I have here in front of me a lot of scuba prints. I decided to use some scuba, and I've seen this print was staring at me from my sewing cabinet here, and I was thinking, well, I'm going to use this one. Well, because I was going to use a scuba, I was thinking, you know, I can simplify the whole process a little bit. And first of all, I decided that I don't need to have a zipper in the scuba fabric, just because the fabric is, of course, it has a lot of stretch, and I was not going to make a toile for this because it's just an A-line skirt with some ease. And to be sure that I'm going to have enough to play with, I just added to the side seams. I followed size 38, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I follow size 38, which it is just a little bit smaller than what the pattern is putting me, the size chart. But I added 2.5 centimeters to the side seam as seam allowance, and at the center back I used 1.5 centimeters, because I was thinking, you know, although I did measure the pattern and I was pretty sure that I'm going to be okay, but just in case, I added some big seam allowances, and that's something very useful. Having a little bit bigger seam allowances, I think it's a great thing, because especially if you are not making a test garment and you are a bit on the fence about the fit, I think a big seam allowance is great. Well, again, you know that I love to have, and that's something that I mostly do, small seam allowances around the neckline and stuff like that. But on the side seams where there is a place for fitting, a big seam allowance is really good to have. So in this case I used 2.5 centimeters for the back on the side seam, the same I did for the front. The front is cut on the fold, and for the center back I used 1.5 centimeters. Later, after I cut my pieces, I did baste the seams, and I realized that, you see here is a little bit shaped on the center back. I did make this a little bit straighter because I did not need this curve here in the back. So no zipper in this skirt. Again, because I was making everything in scuba and I wanted to simplify stuff, I decided that I'm going to use a cotton facing for my skirt, just because I was planning to use an elastic in my skirt and not the zipper. So to make it really easy, this was the original. Again, the original pattern has you to cut here. There is a line on the pattern where you need to cut it, and then you make the pieces according to the instructions, and they also show you how to cut this, because essentially you're getting this piece but separated. You have to add seam allowances. But because I had on the pattern coming for the skirt, also for the dress, this piece of skirt, the original for the dress is coming a little bit higher, all the way to the natural waist. So I just used the natural waist notch from the pattern, and that became my waistline of the skirt. And to have the cut-on facing, I just had a little bit of extra paper. I folded to the back. I traced the line that they used here as an original waist seam line. Oops! I traced it, and then cut the side seam with a piece of fabric folded, and then I got the cut-on facing. So I did the same, of course, for the front, and that was it. And that is because I decided that I wanted to have elastic in this skirt. It has been a time since I used scuba in my makes, and I don't know why. Because I have a lot of scuba in my stash. But when I was to press, so I just saw it, I basted it, and I realized that the fit was pretty nice. In the end, I took, I think, maybe 1 or 2 millimeters per each seam, because I stitched next to my original basting stitch, and I didn't want to catch those threads in my stitching line, so I just stitched 1 needle away from the basting stitch, and later I did take the basting stitch out. And I didn't want to add any bulk, so I just trimmed that really big seam allowance, the 2.5 centimeters. I just trimmed it down to 1 centimeter, I think is this, and pressed it nice and flat. Do you see how flat this sits? It's really flat. But when I started to press the seams flat, of course, as I said, I was not used anymore to use scuba. I put my iron on I think on wool setting, and it was really not pressing because I was thinking, well, maybe it's going to melt or whatever, and then it was not working, so I put it to cotton setting, so a little bit hotter, using steam, and then using my clapper, you know, my clapper, my version of the clapper, so the piece of wood, and then give it a little bit of press steam, and then with this, and as you can see, the seams are sitting really flat without having anything to hold them or whatever. So a little bit hotter iron with steam worked really nice. For the waist, this is how my waist is looking now, my faced waist with elastic. This is from the front, there is no seaming on the front. But for this I used, because I did, of course, my cotton facing was 5 centimeter wide, but I did not have elastic so wide, so I just used my 3 centimeters wide elastic, which I use for almost everything I'm sewing, for the waistbands I mean. So I used that, and because my facing was much bigger, I just run it through the sewing machine 2 centimeters away from the edge, because I don't want to do the measuring, you know, and to be sure that I'm going to be accurate. I just run it to the sewing machine 2 centimeters away from the edge, and then when I serge the elastic to the waist, I just put my elastic against that stitching line, and that's what I trimmed away on the serger, so I got immediately a really nice and straight edge here. This is from the outside, well, inside of the skirt. And then, as I did in my latest make from, you know, I made a skirt from Style Arc where they use this method. I just stitched again here this part of the elastic. You can see here really small zigzag stitch to have it sure that it's not going to flip out or something like that. And this became my faced waistline. And of course, to keep it in place, I just did some stitch in the ditch here on the 3 seams that I have, and in the front it's just sitting, it's not a problem. So this was the treatment for the waist. For the hem, although I think it will be really okay to leave a scuba skirt unhemmed, but I just find that because it's not raveling or something like that, I just find that a little bit of hem is giving some weight and hanging nicer. So I just used my cover stitch machine to put a nice hem, 2.5 centimeters. I did shorten the skirt a little bit, well, quite a bit. I took, let me see, I took from here, this is 3 centimeters. I just measured, I think it's 20 centimeters from the waist. I took 3 centimeters here, and then 2.5 centimeters from the hem. And actually, so I did not add any hem to my original piece. I just drew in 2.5 centimeters. And I was thinking, well, there is no need to take those out. I'm just going to use 2.5 centimeters for the hem of the skirt. So in total, the skirt was shortened by 5.5 centimeters. Again, Knip Mode is designing for 172. I am only 169 centimeters, so I always need to do some adjustments for the length. So that was my skirt. Really easy, actually. It feels like cheating, you know, when using such an easy fabric, and with the adjustments of not having the waistband and not having the zipper, it really feels like cheating. But I really love the skirt, and I really love to wear it, as you can see in the pictures, with the boots and the sweater. I think it's a really great, easy piece, and making it in a fabric like this with a bold print, I think it works really great. Well, about the top. This is the top that I made, top 16, so from Knip Mode September 2023. And this top is coming with a few other variations. It's coming like this with only one part that is getting draped here. or you have it, let's see, and there is also another variation, well, where it's just a plain basic top with no gathers at all. So of course I wanted to try the one that had it all. And you can see it here in the pictures beside me how the fit is. Well, I'm going to tell you that when I need to make something that has some a little bit how should I say, uncommon lines and cuts and stuff like that, of course making fit adjustments is always tricky. And what is also tricky is deciding on the right size, and because I'm always blending between sizes, it's always, and in my case being mostly length adjustments that I need to make, it's in this kind of patterns is always a little bit extra tricky. So this is a really nice pattern. I think the most important thing in this pattern is choosing the right fabric. They used for the magazine, they used a cotton jersey. I don't know what is this lime green. That's also a cotton jersey. And in my head, I don't know why, in my head, I was thinking first that I'm going to use, I bought a few weeks back from Drissen, they have a new fabric. They have this Angora knit and something is called. It's a sweater knit. It's really soft, it's nice, but it's still a sweater knit. I have a bunch of colors of this, and of course I want to use this, so I was thinking, well, this is going to be really nice because I have the gathers here and the gathers here and this and that. But then I did not realize that actually having all those gathers, you know, and making it in a sweater knit is going to add a lot of bulk. And before I even started with this, I did change my mind, and I was thinking, well, you know, I'm just going to use some something else. So I had, this is also something new that I have at Drissen. This is a ribbed jersey. This is a rayon one. This is very soft and pretty thin. But then I was thinking, well, this is going to be way too stretchy, and if I was to use this one, everything will droop all the way down to my knees. So this is way too stretchy. The other one was too thick. This one is too stretchy. Now, and of course, too soft. Of course, I was also thinking to consider some cotton jersey, what they also used in the magazine. So I decided that I had a piece of this one, had some small paint dots on it. It was a little bit a mistake when they sent it to me. So I was thinking it's going to be enough to make a test garment for this. And I'm going to show you why I decided to make a test garment, because, as I said, it is quite difficult to decide on the size and, you know, the size that I want, or that I need, not so much that I want. Oh, this is going to make a little bit of noise. So this is the front piece, and you are going to understand why I am saying that it's pretty difficult to decide. Because, as you can see, this is the front, this is the armhole, this is the front piece, which this is a cut-on facing. This piece here is the shoulder that is getting gathered, and you have a dart, and on the other side there is from here all the way here up to the cut-on facing is also getting gathered everything. So it's really difficult to measure the pattern and to decide based on that what is the best size to choose. And I know that I am always between 38 and 40, or between a big S and a small m, let's call it. So, you know, and I was thinking, well, it's not going to make a big difference. So I just went and made, I think I blended between size 38 and 40. And when I put on this, well, it's a lot of fabric in the front. And if it's a fabric like a cotton like this, which is not really drapey, you know, you are just going to feel like you just like a mummy type kind of bandage you added to your body. So I was not really happy about it. And what is also happening is the fact that when you put it on, if it's not stretchy enough, so this piece, if it's not stretchy enough, let's see, then it's going to pull, everything is going to get pulled. Also the side seam, they are going to pull to the front. So based on this little test garment, I decided that actually I wanted to add a little bit extra to the side seams. And you can see here with orange, I added about 1 centimeter to the front and to the back also. Something else that I decided based on this garment was because there is a lot of fabric here coming at the armhole. Let's see. Here that is actually going to the side, to the gathers. You do have some extra fabric here onto the armhole, and maybe because my fabric was not so drapey, and actually is the same fabric that they use also in the magazine, I decided that I want to take a little bit away from here. So I just scooped my, let's see, I just scooped my armhole a little bit here. I think maybe 1 size in. I took here in, scooped it back, and then I did measure my sleeve to see if it's still going to fit, and it was okay. So I did not have to. Maybe I did take just a little bit from the seam at the cap sleeve to make it a little bit longer, of course, because this just got longer because I scooped it a little bit. But again, I highly recommend a test knit, of course, especially if you are using a fabric that you really love or it was expensive. Just make something in a similar fabric and make a test garment for the top. There are instructions for the top. They have a QR code here with a tutorial. I did not use this, and I did make some mistakes when I made first the pink one. In the pictures, as you can see, I ended up using this beige color jersey, and this is what they called it at Drissen. They have it. They don't have it on the website anymore, but they call it confection jersey or something like that. It's something like a rayon jersey, but it doesn't have a lot of stretch like a normal rayon jersey that you see, and it's also not so heavy as a rayon jersey. So I highly recommend for this pattern something that it has stretch, but quite a bit of stretch, so like a rayon jersey, but not the really thin ripped jersey, because that's going to be a big disaster. I highly recommend a test garment definitely for this, and yeah, stay away from thick fabrics. Don't use sweater knits or something like that. That's my opinion, because otherwise you're going to have a lot of fabric here in front of you. Why? Because you've seen that part of the front, but of course you also need the left part, and the left part is actually a copy of the right part. As you can see here, this is the other armhole, and all this is coming double, of course, on your body. So just use something that is not very thick, like the one that I wanted to use. Some sewing tips on this, and I have it here. That's why I'm not wearing it, because I really want to show you. Let's see. To sew the darts on this, I just use my sewing machine, and you see this guy here. This is Puff 94. I bought it a really long time ago from the second-hand store. I think I paid like 10 euros or something like that, just because it was a puff and it was looking so clean and nice, and I was thinking I'm going to take it home. So I bought it a few years ago, and I took it out because I was thinking it needs to turn a little bit, and it's sewing so nice. And something that I tried to do some freehand quilting on it, and I was really amazed. This is the front and this is the back. You see there is almost no thread from the this is the bobbin, and this is the front, as I said. There is no tension problem here. This is freehand everything. Mostly on my expensive machines I get all kind of bobbin problems, and so this is it's sewing so nice. So I have it out, and I was thinking, well, I'm going to use it for my for the darts in the jersey, and also this went really nice. I'm very amazed about it. For the rest, the top is mostly constructed with the serger, and I wanted to to show you how I did the gathers. There are quite a bit of gathers, of course, here on the shoulders and also on the side seam. Let's see if I can get to them here. Here on the side seams, of course. To gather this, most of the time when I need to do gathers, I'm using my serger. It doesn't matter if I need to use it to gather wovens or knit fabrics. Something important is that I put the differential feed all the way up, so that it's going to scrunch the fabric, and I'm putting the stitch length all the way to the biggest. In my case, I think it's a 4. And by doing that, of course, the differential feed is scrunching the fabric, and having the big stitch length, I can easily pull the threads if I need to pull them a little bit in. So that's also what I used here. The only thing is that if you are using the serger to make the gathers, and I find that using the serger to gather fabric is always giving much nicer gathers than when I make myself, you know, with the sewing machine, the basting lines and so, or the gathering stitches with the sewing machine. With the serger I get really nice and even gathers. But something to remember is that depending on it's very important to keep in mind the seam allowance that you need. For example, I used for the top, I used 6mm seam allowance, and I know that on my serger the smallest seam allowance that I have is 6mm, so I could just search on that also for the gathers. But let's say if I was to have 1 centimeter seam allowance, I would make the stitch or the width of the seam a little bit bigger on my serger to be sure that I'm not cutting away from the original seam allowance, and then to put the top together with the 1 centimeter seam allowance. That's going to give problems. But I highly recommend using the serger for making gathers. For the rest, this is a really easy project to put together. You know, if you hate gathers, probably you have a bit of headache with that. But for the rest, it's easy. I used for the hem, also for the sleeves hem, I just use my cover stitch machine, and you've seen on the skirt it was better, but in this case mostly I like, especially if it's a fabric flimsy like this, I just like to use a bigger seam allowance, make the seam with the cover stitch, and then just trim away what is extra here. You know, it's much easier than trying to be exactly on that little bit of fabric, because if I'm stepping away, so if I was to use my cover stitch and stitch one on the double hem and one next to it, is most of the time is giving problems. So I like to stitch it a little bit bigger and just trim. It's always working. So this was the top. I don't think there is something that I forgot. As I said, try to use your serger for gathers. Works really nice. I really like it. It's especially made in this color. It's going, of course, with a lot of things in my wardrobe. It's really easy to wear, very comfortable, of course, and it was fun to make. So this was the top. The latest pattern that I want to, or the last thing that I want to show in the video, is that pair of pants, and I just need to find my note. I have a note here. Which pattern was? It was a pair of pants. I think it's pattern 24 from Knip Mode magazine 11, so that will be November 2018. I have a post on Minerva about them. I'm going to link it here under the video, in the video description. And if you are looking for a pair of pants, cigarette type pants with side pockets and some cool darts, I highly recommend this one. This one was made in a stretch crepe from Minerva, and if you are reading my post, you'll see there that I made a few adjustments. Something to remember in this in this pattern, there are about 10 darts, so if you are not good at darts, you'll be at the end of this project. There are 4 darts in the back. There are 2 in the front, and there are also a bunch of darts here, or at least yes, 4 at the hem. I don't know if you can see them. This is a dart. is a dart. Where is the dart? Here is the dart. Let's see. Here is a dart, and there is another dart here in the back. And it's a really nice pen. I put it on today and I was thinking, well, why I'm not wearing this often? It's really, and it's fitting also very nice. I used for this one that trick with the facing. So there is a facing that is getting add on, and I use that trick where I use the interfacing, the fusible interfacing, and then by using that I'm just finishing also immediately the facing. I have a tutorial here on my channel. I'm going to put that for you to find. Something else that I changed, if I was to compare with the original pattern, the pattern had some buttons here up, but I was planning 3 years ago to add a hook and an eye. I did not add that, but I did wear the pants without. I must say that I really need to add that because they feel a little bit loose without the hook and an eye here at the top of the zipper. Another tip that I can give you, something that I use a lot when I need to make this stitching line on pants, you know, on jeans and also on these ones, I have some label paper for labels, you know, it's the A4 type. Doesn't matter how big it is, but I'm just using that. I'm tracing the shape of it it's like a sticker paper. I'm just tracing that on the sticker, and I'm peeling it off, stick it on my pants, and I'm just sewing around that, and it's always giving the perfect top stitching shape. So this is a pant that I really highly recommend. You can see here all the darts, and the pockets are also really nice. As you can see, they are going all the way up here, but they are getting top stitched a little bit. Very nice. And I used for this I was thinking, well, I'm going to make it really nice, and I'm going to use some French seams for the pockets. But then when I put it on, I realized that because I used let me see, I used for one part of the pocket, I'd used the same crepe fabric. It was a really bulky seam, and you could see that when I was wearing the pants. So I just came in with my serger and just took away my nice French seams, and now I have an invisible seam from the front. You cannot see the seam of the pockets now. But before that it was really, really visible. It was not nice. So pant that I highly recommend from Knipmode again is pattern 24 from Knipmode 11 2018. If I find it on their website, I'm going to put a link to it. So this was it. These were my 3 patterns, 2 from the latest Knipmode magazine, September 2023, and 1 a little bit older. Highly recommend all 3 of them. I'm really happy with them. I really love the skirt, and I'm happy that I finally used a piece of that scuba that I had it already for a time in my stash. I cannot even remember where I bought that. So I hope you enjoyed my video. Don't forget to like and to subscribe, and I would like to hear your opinions about these patterns. Thank you so much. Bye.